Welcome to Cyber Espresso Podcast, your quick shot of cybersecurity insights with industry leaders. I have two guests today, Kyle David and Chad Rychlewski. They are the authors of Cyber Smart Parenting. Good morning, both Kyle, Chad. Welcome to our podcast.
Morning.
Good
Thanks for having
morning.
us.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Excellent. So I will just kick off with this question. Why cybersecurity needs to start at home and why digital safety is no longer optional for families?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, in general, cybersecurity has to start at home because kids are now active users of the internet long before they understand the risk of being an active user. So, essentially, between games, school devices, social platforms, AI tools,
Mhm.
families are really part of the digital ecosystem, whether they really opt in for it or not, which means digital safety isn't an optional conversation anymore. It's a basic life skill that just by looking both ways before crossing the street, it's the same for digital safety, just being able to understand the risks. And so when parents and families and teachers don't talk about digital safety, kids learn the rules from the internet instead of from us. And that's where things can go really wrong at times. So that's why digital safety isn't really optional anymore. You have to have the conversations right away with kids.
Perfect. So I have a daughter. Sometimes I try to guide her to be safe, but not every parent is IT savvy or they do understand the certain concerns or problems that may come. So if you look at an average parent, not really coming from the IT background, what is the biggest misconception they have? They think they're keeping their safes online, but in reality, they're not.
Yeah, so I'll take that one. Kind of doubling down on what Kay was saying, and we look at what the schools are doing and what we think the schools are doing. Teachers have a very limited time to take care of the kids' education. They have a lot of curriculum that they need to cover. It's different than 30 years ago when we were growing up with computers and learning how to use the keyboard and the mouse and floppy drives that turned into CDs. We were evolving as computers evolved, so that was kind of natural to fit into the school curriculum. It doesn't happen that way anymore. Kindergartners, first graders, second graders are getting Chromebooks in a one-to-one fashion, their own Chromebook. And a lot of parents don't realize this is happening because the schools just do it. They don't really have a conversation with the parents. So once the parents find out that the Chromebooks are being used or iPads or some kind of technology in school, we all assume that the children are being told how to be cyber safe with them. It's just not happening at school because the teachers don't have time to teach these things, which is why it's super important to have the conversations at home. I know about the use of Chromebooks in our local schools because I'm involved with the institutions at that level and understanding how they hand out technology. But parents need to have the conversation at home of what are you doing with technology at school? Do you use a smart board? Do you use a Chromebook? How do you use it? What's a password? We need to have some of these conversations because that misconception is that someone else is having the conversation when in reality, they're not.
Perfect. So let's come back to your book, Cyber Smart Parenting. I really like the title. So, what inspired you to write that book? Or how you promote it today?
Yeah, so Chad and I being in cybersecurity, we always get asked questions from friends, family, etc., about really how do I keep my kids safe and am I doing this correctly? And so we loved having those conversations one on one, but we really wanted to be able to um, have families feel empowered to protect themselves at a lot larger scale than just one-on-one conversations with Chad
Right.
and I. So it took a lot of coffee, a lot of weekends, but we put our brains to paper to be
Yeah.
able to write Cyber Smart Parenting so that it was really a tactical guide for parents to be able to read through.
Yeah.
It's under 100 pages. We wanted to make it
Perfect.
so that they could understand the foundation for cybersecurity and also know what kind of conversations they can have with their kids today. We even have conversation starters in the book, and we have some technical, a very easy to break down technical guidance for parents as well. So that's what inspired us is just being able to empower even just like one or more families
Yeah.
to protect themselves.
Very good. Well done. So, what will be that one section in your book that parents shouldn't miss?
Yeah, so there's a very specific page. So not only at the end of every chapter are there 4 quick tactical things you can do with time estimates, like this will take 15 minutes, this will take 5 minutes, just try it. Page 77, there's a contract that you can rip out. And we actually have on page 76, please rip out the next page, because we want folks to rip it out and have the conversation with their kids. It's a fill in the blank contract. So we're teaching kids what a contract is, the rules that we're setting with them, not for them, but then you can paste that up on the fridge. And not to say you can't recreate it and update it, in the future, but that page is, I think, very powerful to having the conversation starter, because it goes over some of the basics of screen time and usage and where we can have devices in the house. But it's a super, super handy tool for parents that are reading the book.
So you physically rip off the page?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's not too many authors that are like, please tear up my book, I want you to. But we specifically designed it so that parents could literally just rip it out and almost like fill in the blank with their kids to talk about digital safety. That way everyone is agreed upon of like why they're setting certain rules and why it's important. So yeah, we went a little bit against the grain of usual authors. We want people to tear up our book.
Yeah, it's like pocket sized, right? So this book it's 5x7. It's meant to be able to fit into a small bag. And then starting on page 70 up to 77, there's graphics too that go over elementary school, middle school, high school conversation starters. We've had a couple of schools actually print these out into poster fashion and put them up in the hallways based off of the age of the kids in the school. And I think it's helpful because it's cartoony. It speaks the kids' language, right? But it also helps parents realize at what age I need to talk about certain things.
Well, very good. So I appreciate your time, Chad, being part of our podcast. Really a good job and good luck with your promoting with your book. And I look forward to our conversation, maybe in other occasions.
Yes, thank you again. It was really awesome to be on. So thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. If folks want to find the book, they can go to cybersecurityparents.com. We've got a couple different publishing arms and ways to purchase it now, but Amazon's probably the best way. Just visit the site, and thanks for listening in.
Perfect. Okay, then. Take care. Bye-bye.